What's good?
Yo, I think we're live. I
We're
think we're
fucking
doing this.
live. Just finished doing a neti pot of some bong water. I'm ready to fucking ride, dude. Got
Oh
a bag
man,
of
you're gonna make
Jankum.
me you're gonna make me laugh too much on this one, I can tell. And I'm
Right,
not a huge fan of
right,
my laugh, so I feel a little awkward about this. No, I was gonna be like, dude, you gotta be serious because we're not gonna laugh this time.
right.
But that would be impossible. Dude, how daunting is it to just watch like a countdown in front of you of like a minute long? You're just like 20 seconds and I have to talk now in front of people. 15 seconds and I have to talk now in front of people.
Dude, yeah, like the heartburn just kicks in, indigestion, about ready to blow my butt out. It's just everything, man. I'm ready to go.
But you seem like you might be kind of more comfortable with this sort of thing because on top of being a visual artist, you're also a writer and like a
Yeah,
poet and stuff. So you seem a little bit more comfortable with the word than me, maybe,
yeah,
or like, yeah. Yeah, where
yeah,
does
man.
that
It's
come from?
fun.
Or like what's that about?
Yeah, it's funny, man. Like I started writing it. I think I really the point where I knew that I loved writing and like just overall like words in general was reading this story by Franz Kafka called The Cares of a Family Man. And it's a pretty I feel like a lot of people haven't read it, but it's 3 paragraphs long. It's this really kind of fucked up story about this little sentient being that tumbles around this man's house that has no purpose in life or none that he can determine, but it's lived forever. And so the narrator starts questioning like, well, why the fuck can't I live forever? Why does this thing have, why does this thing get the ability to do that? But then it also gets into obviously like, well, why not? Why do we all have to have purpose? And like, what does it mean to have no purpose whatsoever? I just found that really fascinating. And like, since I read that in college, I've just relentlessly been writing and writing poems and just all this like fucked up shit. So I truly love it. I feel like it's like half of all of my art is really that writing part because it really makes it like it really is suffocating. I think on top of the imagery itself in a lot of ways.
You're dead on for sure that it's definitely a big part of your practice, I would say. Like reading the text that goes along with the pieces is just as enjoyable as looking at the pieces half the time. You're that good of a writer. And then the other side of it is that you're just such a good writer in general. Like sometimes you'll just write about my work, like the way that you comment and interact with the community.
Yeah,
Like within Twitter and stuff, the way that you are commenting on other people's work and the way that you kind of dissect other people's work and what you say. Like sometimes I learn about myself and my own work through what you say about it, and like, or you
man.
just say things in such a eloquent, poetic way. It shines a new light on it, even though it's completely grotesque and disgusting.
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
but like that writing and like obviously Franz Kafka is the shit.
yeah.
Big fan myself. Actually, just read a weird riff on the Metamorphosis last night. This comic, I should
Ooh.
show you now that I know. Yeah, it was like a reverse telling of the Metamorphosis of where
Oh.
a bug turns into a human,
Oh,
and
fuck yeah.
and then kind of what you were saying, the bug turns into a human, and then the human is like, "What the fuck, man? Like this is so complicated and difficult to be a fucking dude. Like this
Yeah.
sucks. So I want to be a bug, man. I miss my box and my crumbs, you know."
Yeah.
Um, but what I was gonna say, like, what? So do you have like formal training in writing at all, or like because
No.
really because you're like
Yeah.
it's not just that you're funny, it's that like you're grammatically good. Like, do you know what I mean? Like you have
Yeah.
to be like smart to
Yeah,
do
yeah,
what you do.
thanks, dude. It's like it's funny you asked that because yeah, I have no training in art or writing. So like essentially just like for writing, I read so many books, dude. And I feel like that's like any writer, you're just constantly consuming books like we all do, fucking consume stuff. And then and like, so I think that a lot of that kind of influence came through there. But yeah, it's like I don't really know. It's funny. I almost feel like in some ways by not having any training, like I've talked to a couple other artists about this. And I don't know. We'll talk about you as well. Like, because some of your pieces that I've seen, some of them, like obviously deviate quite far from what would be considered like traditionally beautiful. Like whatever it is, they're fucking brutal and the way that I look at our works is that they're inconveniences to look at. They're wounds they're a wound for people to stick their fingers in and feel around in and see what they can find, and see what manifests within them, which is what originally brought me to your work in a massive way. I think we find that brutality and that suffering and that sadness in each other's work. But I was talking to somebody else and they asked me kind of a similar question when they said like, what kind of training do you have or whatever? And I said, you know, absolutely fucking none. And I think that without any of that training, and again, like I would say arguably there's obviously millions of better writers and artists than I am, but I feel like it kind of provides a unique perspective on things because I don't have anything, you know, molesting the way that I think that are kind of like that were dictated by some fucker 200 years ago or something, you know, just like I just make whatever it is and then write about whatever it is, and like there's nothing that is like really there's really telling me to do otherwise, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah. Yeah,
What
it's like
about then?
yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
No, no, I was just gonna say, I mean, like it's similar. Like it's funny. I have a book coming out soon, and like in it, I describe like the joy of somebody sticking their dick into a cup of Dippin' Dots being identical, being identical to the joy experienced by like an art critic at an art museum. You know what I mean? Like they're two completely different things, but like you know that it doesn't. I feel like the value of that person's joy isn't in any way diminished by you know their lack of understanding or something. If they like
Sure.
sticking their dick into a cup of Dippin' Dots, that's what they do.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where yeah.
Like joy is joy,
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
Yeah. Joy is joy. It doesn't matter, you know, where it's derived from. I guess you're saying that distilled, it's the same.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
like, and I don't know about you. Like, so what about you on your works? Like, I mean, do you find that same way? Do you have training? And then also, one thing that I was talking about with my therapist, and I don't know if you have a similar similar input on your thing, but she was asking me why I don't have the ability to make anything happy. Like everything I make is like is extremely sad, and it's like it's about suffering and pain and hometown regret and fucking county watching two people 69 in the mud at a county fair. And I and I kind of told her I was like, dude, I honestly
Shit,
think
man.
I had I hadn't thought about it. And then when I was thinking about it, I think that what I do is I manifest these situations in somewhat of an attempt to make day to day more bearable in a lot of ways, because you look at the brutality and the exaggerated brutality of some of my pieces, and then you say like, well, at least you know today, you know, I'm not getting shit on by at a mattress firm, you know, or something. So I don't know. That was like one perspective I had, but I was interested to see where you drew your stuff too. Like, one, do you have that? Do you have training? I mean, in any way, and then two, yeah, do you find why do you find yourself drawn to the tendency to draw like more brutal and
Sure.
suffering and you know?
We're getting right in here. I like this. We're diving deep because, like, you know, obviously I wanted to get into this with you too. And, you know, before even going any further, like, I want to say one more thing about your work is that, like, when you say like 69, two people 69ing at the state fair, like, that's not hyperbole. This is because I know where you're from, man. And I'm from somewhere similar where the state
Yeah.
fair is a real fucking the biggest event for like 50-mile radius. Everybody's
Dude.
fucking stoked. People get so drunk out of their minds that they do shit like what you're saying is it's for real.
It's crazy.
And
Yeah.
a lot of the debauchery that you are being hyperbolic about in your work actually is stemming from very real shit. And I had this conversation, man, I'm veering, and I apologize, but like I had this conversation with people when I was over in Italy because like that whole crew that I was with in Italy just all love your work. And so I found that so fascinating because to me, it's so Americana. It's this demented Americana. And you're taking very American symbology, very American corporations, even where like the corporate, you know, entities that you're depicting in your illustrations and artwork don't even exist over there. But yet your message is getting through. They still love the work and they don't even know what that store is that you're referencing or whatever. And so I was asking about this, and like, it basically just came down to like what you're saying is that raw energy, is that raw, like that this is coming for you from a real place. It's coming from it's not this made up story. It's like this is kind of just an extension of life that the way I see it. And so then to like turn that's where I'm coming from too. It's coming like people ask me that kind of stuff all the time, like, you know, the darkness of my work, like how it's so dark, etc. And it's I don't think about it too much, honestly. Like I think too much, but when it comes to my work and what it looks like, I don't think at all. I'm never thinking about what my work looks like. I can only do what I can do. You know what I mean? Like I can only do me. And that's fucking me. That's the most, and I only want to do the most me. Like my goal isn't in life isn't to like do the best on somebody else's standards. My goal in life is to be the most authentic version of myself and make the artwork that represents that and reflects that. And if I'm not doing that, I feel like I'm a failure. And
Yeah.
every day I feel like I'm not doing it, so I feel like a failure every day for a little while. And that's where it comes from, man. There's no bullshit there, you know. It's just like, this is it. Like, this is what I know, and like that's what I can show you. I can't show you what I don't know. And you know,
man,
just that comes from just kind of having a pretty rough childhood and shit, where it's just like, you know, like thing after thing goes wrong and you kind of give up the you know, I'm an optimist at heart in general as far as life and shit. But when things just go wrong over and over and over again, where you're just like, the worst thing just happened, nothing else. Oh fuck, okay, now okay, we just keep down the ladder. You give up hope. You kind of give up hope, and you kind of get and then you're gifted with the gift of, I guess if you're an artist, the gift of despair. Because despair is fucking beautiful in art, man. It's probably the most, because there's surrender in despair. There's so much beauty in despair in art. I find it to be like one of the, you know, the other day I posted about running, and that, you know, I ran 4 miles of guilt and whatever, or something like that. You know, like I really think that. And with art, though, to me, it's more like obsession and despair. It's like longing. There's less anger and heat in that way towards it, but in that work, there's definitely the despair and the longing, like the missing. So that's where I'm coming from with it.
No, and I especially, like you really touched on something beautiful there, where like I think that in terms of that, in terms of like the idea of like submitting or giving up, or like just, you know, having that attitude, like essentially, I don't know how long you were making shit before anything happened, but it was like, like I got to a place really as an artist where like I was just, you know, blasting stuff into the fucking blue light abyss and getting like 2 likes from porn bots, you know, like that were like trying to get my credit card or something. And like, so I didn't really care. Like I was still just making whatever the fuck I wanted. And I didn't really care if anyone saw it or not. But I came to this like resolve that, look, man, no one's ever gonna see any of this shit. You're gonna be tweeting about, you know, you're gonna be tweeting or sending this stuff out into the abyss for, you know, like in 200 years, maybe some kid in high school or something finds one of your Garfield memes, your fucked up Garfield memes or something, and like laughs at it before, you know, going back to a Pornhub tab or something. But like there was never any idea that like there was ever going to be anything like, and I kind of said this yesterday, where I was joking around about it. Like, I mean, kind of, but it's like, like the idea, like you were getting back to as well, in terms of just being authentically you. I was just like, I made the statement on Twitter yesterday, kind of just fuck Sotheby's, fuck Christie's. I'm trying to get on a commemorative popcorn tin at fucking Yankee Candle, or like I want to be on a Yankee Candle wrapper at a state fair, like arts and crafts show, like, because it's just, it's like at a certain point people can take it or leave it, and it's just like, you know, you're just going to keep making your shit, and it's not going to be glossy, and it's not going to be beautiful. It's going to be the weird, like horrific hometown regret, I think, that we've all experienced. And like that's the part with the Italian group that I think you were talking about, and like a lot of my friends that I've made in the space and the collectors, I found it really interesting because they'll reach out and they'll have a similar story where they've got just that kind of hometown regret, you know, that, you know, you're being consumed by your hometown and the depravity and sadness there. And, you know, once you get an opportunity to get out, you know, you make that jump. But I think that still lives within all of us, in many, many ways. You know, like you were saying, you know, you're from a similar area. I'm from, you know, northern Indiana, where those state fairs were literally the biggest thing you would do. And so like we were saying, it really is that. I think that there's that string in humanity of kind of just feeling resentful and guilty and regretful of like the place that you came from in some ways, even though it is home. In a lot of ways, it's also really beautiful sometimes, you know, and there's moments of beauty there. But overall, I think that's what's up.
And you find levity then through all that, through all this muck and fucking disgusting shit. You find levity in the humor, obviously, like the the alchemy of humor really transforms it into your artwork in a way. Where does the visual art aspect of your practice come from? Like I would ask if you're formally trained in that, but I'm going to assume no. But at one point you must have picked it up What made you pick it up? When did you pick it up? At what point in your life? Was it pre or post? Like, were you a writer first and then started drawing, or
Yeah.
did you draw first and then write? Or
Yeah, I was drawing for a long time. So like I remember it was funny. I would draw all this shit in high school. Like the funniest thing, and a lot of people would be obsessed with like drawing cocks on stuff or whatever in high school. But my my biggest claim to fame was my biggest claim to fame was actually like I had this math teacher named Gary Crucina, and I had like painstakingly made this book that was like 200 pages of loose leaf paper stapled together, and I had designed all these different robot types with his head on it. Like it was like, him like balancing or him like sweeping up a little pile of dust or like doing different robot tasks. And
fuck.
one day he found it after class and he showed it to the class and was like, "This is the most fucked up thing I've ever seen in my life." He's like, "I don't even care about the penis drawings." He's like, "Who would draw 200 versions of me as these different robots? Like this is messed up, man." And nobody ratted me out, but I feel like that was like kind of the genesis of just getting into like weird fucking stuff and like ridicule and like just like making
Well,
fun
like
of the absurdity.
he almost validated you, man. If somebody said that
He
about me, I'd be like, fuck yeah, dude. Somebody
I
was
was
like,
so
took a bunch of my work and been like, who the fuck made this shit? This is fucked up. I'd be like,
I,
fuck yeah, bro.
I was
That's me.
super stoked, dude. And then later that year, similarly, like we had an assignment where we were supposed to be designing a car for Ford for this commercial design class. And I made this motorcycle called the Strider 5000, and it was made out of human skin. And I had like described in my presentation that the skin had to be lubricated with Vaseline every time you rode it. And the guy's like, "Why the fuck would you use real skin for this thing, man? Like it's not really practical." And he was like freaking out. And so that was another kind of funny part. But yeah, man, and then like otherwise, like I just have been drawing forever. And then the writing, like I self-published this absurdist satire that a lot of people have been reading. Like it's like an ode to those stupid ass dad novels, like those
Yeah.
David Baldacci and shit. Yeah, I think I sent you one. Yeah.
I think I got a copy right here. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, it's so that thing is a fucked up. I developed an alter ego to write it. And it was like a hilarious endeavor, creative endeavor. But then since then, yeah, I've just been like working with indie presses and getting stuff published with them and stuff. But yeah, it's funny with the drawing stuff. It really was just it's been just essentially just kind of just like doing hundreds and hundreds of hours of just like cartoon drawings, I guess, and just kind of getting into it. Yeah, no training there. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. I kind of wish I would have had some, because sometimes when I'm like drawing somebody a certain position, I just have no idea how the fuck it should look. But I mean, it is what it is,
Yeah, but that, I mean, I think that comes out in the work too, where it's just like
Mhm.
you do what you think you should do, and in doing that, it's your translation that's important, and then we're getting your view. I mean, that makes what makes it
Yeah,
special, But
yeah,
what's
exactly.
your medium of choice?
So my medium, I love man, I love acrylic, honestly. Like so that's like my big thing. I gotta so we just moved back to Indiana. We were in Chicago for a little while, but it was too expensive. We moved back to Indiana to get a little bit more real estate. Now I have like I've got a basement art studio that people were cracking up about, because it's like my wife was dying too, because she's like, "Are you sure this is okay? There's no light down here." And I'm like, "I don't need light for my stuff, dude. Like it's just gonna be like
It's
I
better
don't
without.
yeah. So I love acrylic because I think similarly to your works, where like that's something I wanted to ask you. Are most of yours acrylic? Because I see the like super texturized, like fucking, again, that's what makes it so brutal looking, is because there's all these like thick swipes and like stuff in there. So is that your favorite too? Because I'm acrylic and then I'm just standard like Procreate. That's where I do most of my stuff. But
I it varies it just depends on what you're talking about. I use like acrylic gessos and shit for like my large panel works, but that's not what you're
yeah,
talking about. You're probably talking about like the paintings, like the kind of liquidy
yes,
paintings that
yep.
I've minted and shit. Those are actually ink, and it's
Oh,
but it's what's the brand? Dollar Brownie, and it's actually a photo ink, and I think it's like what they use to do darkroom touch up on photos.
oh,
What, you
cool.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it has this it has like a quality to it that when it dries, it almost kind of looks like what a black photo paper looks like or something. But
Yeah, yeah.
well, so what I do though is I mix it with water, and I use my fingers and rags to paint on plastic sheets, vellum, And then
Cool.
it's clear, like clear vellum, and then painting with ink, that's like this photo ink. And then when I scan that, it's almost, because a scanner is just a photo, like a scan
Yeah.
is a photo basically. So it basically takes a photo, or like does a photo of it, and it just has like a very interesting interaction between these elements of like, because it's almost like scanning a photo negative in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Well, I was
so it's
just saying
almost like,
that. Yeah.
yeah, so it's like almost like I'm creating a monoprint negative and then scanning it, which is like, it's a very, yeah, the materials, but it's ink. And
Well, I was gonna say it's like it's interesting because I think that's like part of the feeling that I get when I look at your things, and we kind of talked about this a little bit, but is that feeling of like being suffocated. So there's a moisture that's contained in there that really makes it. It's almost like oil or something that's
Mhm.
being like poured down your unwilling gullet in some ways. Like when I was looking at it at the exhibit in Milan, that's the feeling that I got. Like I was just like, dude, these are like very suffocating pieces. So is that
Mm.
kind of what you go for when you're using that technique, having that wetness, having that moisture, and having that feeling
Yeah,
like a person's being,
definitely.
yeah,
Well, I don't know, like I love this idea of suffocating or whatever, because sure, that's in it. But like I never use that term really, but it definitely is a synonym for the feelings, It's definitely like
yeah,
yeah. Um they're definitely meant to feel transitory too. You know what I mean? Where
yeah,
it's like they're definitely
yeah,
meant to feel like an in-between stage. Like they're meant to feel like this is a moment, it's not the whole picture. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like this is
yeah,
a
and that's what
moment in
like
a transition or something.
yeah, like I feel that like that's one of the other cool parts about you and Sky Gulp's pieces is that I think like a big difference between our pieces is I don't leave a ton of room for interpretation. It's just like here's this brutal image, here's this brutal description.
But you do. You actually
There is some,
do.
yeah, I guess there is. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
in a completely different way, I think. Like
yeah,
you leave a lot of room for interpretation in the way that like I would say 90% of people come to your work and are appalled and like, fuck, oh, this
yeah,
is terrible. Who made this?
yeah,
They should
yeah,
be in a fucking insane asylum.
yeah,
Or um or they're like, this is brilliant and I love it, and they crack up. So right there's
yeah.
the Rorschach test. Who are
I guess
you?
you're right. Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah, I guess you're right in that sense. Yeah, like I do. Like I would say, the the cool part. Yeah, I agree with that. And the cool part about you and Sky Gulps are like that. I feel like that the emotion that you feel during the piece can vary so greatly, even in the brief time that you're looking at it, which is what I really appreciate and what I like loved about your two styles as well, where you can really see your face inside of the like portrait that's happening, or the crazy tiny little minute textures that you see. You pick up on those, and you can like really tell. Like I was at I went to the MoMA like 3 months ago, and it was the first time I'd seen a Pollock live, and I never really understood Jackson Pollock. I just thought, I was like, anyone can throw paint at whatever. And then I sat in front of that thing and I damn near cried, because you look, and it's similar to your guys' work, where every little line and every little divot and crevice you can see emotion in, when you're looking at it. And that's what I really appreciate. You can just you really feel whatever it is that you're feeling in that moment, that you're painting, or at least that you perceive that you guys are making. So that's a really cool part. And I just I spent a really fair amount of time at both of your pieces at the Milan thing.
The devil is in the details, right?
It
Like
is, dude.
truly.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
like for real. Like I love that statement. Like, and I don't like, it's an old adage that people brush over, but I don't like I interpret it very different. Like I'm
yeah,
going for the devil, like I'm,
yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
I
I'm
want
digging
him to
for the
live in
devil
there.
here. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So it's like, that's why I pay attention to those details, man. I
yeah,
want this thing to be insidious, because that's what
yeah,
details do to me. Like, even if you don't realize it, like a lot of the work that I do, I, I realize that, like, I don't want to go off on a tangent about this or anything, but like, it's really interesting because I feel like when I think about it, that when people view my work, the majority of people probably end at around the 25% finished mark of where like I could have probably
yeah,
went 25% of the way that I did, and
yeah,
people probably would visually register that amount, right? And so 75% of the work that I do is not consciously right away recognized, right, by the
yeah,
mind. So I spend a whole lot of time thinking about how the instinctual human eye works, what range of grayscales it's able to see, what levels
Sure.
of detail, how big or how small something can be to see the detail, what it's going to be in print versus this, because there's so much information that goes through the human brain that is not consciously aware, you're not aware of, but is so important. Like the reason, like, can you tell me why a pop song gets stuck in your head, or does it just get stuck in your fucking head? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm talking about, right? I'm going
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that. Like, I'm going for those details that get stuck in your head. You don't know it, but like it's in
Yeah.
there, but you don't know why. You didn't think like, wow, look at that. Look at how like this grayscale is so perfectly toned this way, and this is arranged in this way that it flows from here to here. You're not doing that. You're just like, boom, that stuck with me. And that's
Yeah.
what I want, you know?
Goes back to that term, like almost like infestation or infecting, you know, like because
Yeah.
yeah, that's the way that it feels oftentimes in terms of how haunting it is to look at and then essentially be haunted by that image. So kind of the
And
opposite of a
haunt
pop song
is
where yeah.
haunt is the perfect word. Like I
Yeah,
use
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, like yeah.
Well,
Haunting
so it's
is
and then it's funny, dude. Like, have you ever had like situate like this was really funny in Italy. Like I showed up and I'm like wearing, you know, like the classic Midwestern shit that I always wear. Like I had like a tucked in flannel shirt and a pair of like dad jeans, and like everyone was just cracking up because I think there was this like perception that I was some weird like depraved troll or something because my work is so like fucked up, and then I'm just like now I'm like genuinely like a pretty like happy person
yeah.
overall. And I think that like it's weird, man. Like I think there's always that perception about like an artist having to exist in that certain realm. And in some ways I do, in some ways, you know, like with anxiety and like just like the stuff that we all go through on a daily basis and the shit that we all deal with as humans, certainly. But like yeah, overall the way that I always look at it and the way that I tell people is like I create sad and I make and I live happy for the most part, which is
I
like kind
get
of an
that.
interesting yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I have a friend that me and him talk about that quite often, about how like you don't have to live in the shit. Like you already lived in the shit for long
Yeah.
enough. You don't, but it's like you lived in the shit long enough. You don't need to live there anymore. Like I lived in the shit up until, you know, a couple years ago. I was still like in like whatever, like a really gnarly area and kind of living harshly, like
Yeah.
unnecessarily, you know. But it's like you lived in the shit. You don't need to live in the shit anymore because it's ingrained in you now. You can access that anytime. Like it's
Yep.
inside of you now. Like you don't need to go anywhere to get that. That's just inside of you. You know, I was just doing an interview the other day where they asked a question about like what they ask about darkness, like where does the darkness basically in your work
Hmm.
come from, where like your work is very you know, chaotic or blah blah blah, it makes you feel blah blah blah, and is it a reflection of the times of the world right now, or you know, like the age we live in or the chaos we live in? And it's like, no, absolutely not. It's that comes
It's
from
just
deep within, that comes from
yeah.
deep within myself. And I, you know, and I told them like it's just kind of it's not ironic or funny or what's the word, it's but there's something about the fact that like the world has caught up almost to like how
Yeah.
somebody like you or I have seen the world all along. Now the
Yeah.
world's just there. It's actually absurd and as, you know, fucking nuts as people like you and I have always felt it has been. And everybody's looked
Yeah.
at us like, what's wrong with that person? It's like the world's crazy and I'm freaking out because the world is insane. And they're like, well, I
Yeah.
don't, whatever. Now, but now everybody's like, the world's fucking crazy. Aren't you losing your shit? And I'm like, no, I'm used to
Yeah,
this.
it's like yeah, it's like yeah, it's like I spent 4 years in high school drinking Mad Dogs in an abandoned Arby's parking lot. Like that's what we did for fun, you know, like or like
There you go.
yeah, it's just like it was just whatever. And then like the yeah, yeah, and to your point, like this is an
It's like
interesting
the
like
veil has just
transition.
been lifted. It's like nothing actually
Yeah.
changed. It's just the veil has been lifted. The thing that me and you have always seen through, now everybody sees or something, you know.
Yeah,
Go on. I'm
and in a
sorry.
lot no, and in a lot of ways, like I think that I describe myself sometimes as almost like a documentarian. Some of my poetry and some of my art and shit is really you know there it's skewed and exaggerated and there's deviations in it, but in some ways it really is just this documentarian process of you know like a poem I wrote the other day about you know about everyone attending a funeral and nobody having really anything to say about this guy who died except that you know sometimes we went to BW3s and watched sports and you know a limp applause followed it and then nobody had anything else to say so they just buried the guy and that was just kind of it and so you know
This,
it's yeah, it's just documentarian in some ways, but at the same time, I think we
Well,
again like
that's what I was
kind
about
of
to
feel that.
say too. It is very documentarian because that is probably the truth. That probably happened, you know?
Yeah,
Like
like
for
if
real.
yeah, yeah, for sure, dude. So I love doing that though. Like it's one of my favorite things because yeah, to give people that it's like it's just an unabashed glimpse into yeah, like what probably is just happening on a day-to-day basis, but they might not be aware of like whether or not you're working you know, just like like I still work a shitty desk job where essentially I'm tasked with creating digital waste for people to throw away. Like I just program emails that are just immediately cast aside. So there's a whole different level of like existentialism in that. And I'm just
Wow.
shoveling coal into a furnace that people are just, you know, throwing away. And then like, you know, like donating parts of your life to the creation of waste is just like, again, it's digital waste. So who really cares? But it's also a weird, fucked up trip for sure, where you're like, I'm like, you know, I'm in this existence where I'm like just burning myself in order for people to then throw away your toil, which they should because it's fucking spam. So, you know, like it is what it is, but like, yeah.
Have you seen, this is just a quick side note. I'm not going to get into it, but have you seen that show Severance yet?
No, I haven't. Nope.
Yeah, check that out, dude. It's about an
Okay.
office worker, and basically his job is to they keep it very vague. It's a very odd show, very good, but it's odd. And his job sounds very similar to yours. He's,
Yeah.
but it's more weird. It's a very strange show. Watch it, please. Like,
Yeah,
please
I'll check
watch
it
it.
out.
It's I think you'll dig it. It's 1000% about the mundanity of office life, but it's way trippier than that.
Yeah, I need
I
to
wanted
scope it out.
to
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, no, I was just gonna say yeah, it's funny. One of my other books that I wrote that got published with this press in the UK was called PowerPoint Eulogy, and like that, I think that was a really good distillation of our existence. So essentially, like, there's this dude who dies in his cubicle, and like all of his coworkers who like didn't really know him are forced to go to this like 3 hour long memorial for him, where his entire existence is distilled into a PowerPoint, and it's just like you know depressing with a bunch of like outdated slides and like you know celebrating that he ate plain yogurt every day and like just the worst. And so that yeah, I find there to be a lot of humor in that mundanity and like there's the brutalness of just like of just yeah existing in that type of like you know white noise just weird like shared office microwave setting and shit. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, go ahead.
Shared microwave office setting is fucking awesome. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what it
Yeah.
is, right? There's something about that shared microwave. Um, okay, I'm gonna just jump around kind of a little bit, but not really. But like, so we have you're an author, you're a writer, poet, visual creator as well, and now you've made the transition into the crypto art scene or the NFT, creating NFTs, etc. Can you tell me what got you there? Because that's we're still at a point where this is new and it's not easy to there's still this somewhat of a barrier, something that fake whale, what this is here is
Yeah.
trying to help with, is to like to break down that barrier for artists, to make this community and this scene a little bit more accessible, and not we just culturally accessible, even, you know what I mean, like
Yeah, right. Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't need to be segregated as much as
Yeah.
it is. So anyways, I would just like to hear a brief version of what brought you to this, because honestly, like when you look at your work, it wouldn't be the first thought, even though you do create
Yeah.
digitally, but like because of the content of the work, you wouldn't think this is minted as NFTs
Yeah.
right away. So like, yeah, bridge the gap
Yeah.
for me, will you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, it's funny. So, I mean, I got reached out to by a random dude on Twitter, who's a dope. He's super dope. His name's Loafgren. But he hit me up and he's like, because Eric Andre at the time, who I'm a huge fan of, he's like, you know,
The
he's just like
comedian.
yeah, he embodies, you know, the absurdity of like a lot of the art that I make in terms of just being like completely fucked up, no holds barred, just whatever goes, bloody, you know, concussed, fucking insane. But I had created, he had this fake presidential campaign, and I just said like, fuck it, I'm gonna make him a fake presidential campaign poster. So then I tweeted it at him, and he retweeted it, and it got like it got a fuck ton of views or something. And then this dude reached out to me and he had me making art for his podcast, which is cool. It's like this meta podcast that was pretty sick. So I made him a bunch of art, and he's like, dude, by the way, you should be like looking into NFTs, man. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? So I got on Foundation. He gave me one of his Foundation invites back when those were like actually a thing or whatever. And I minted a piece on there. It's one of my favorite pieces, and like, of course, didn't sell forever. Like, it just was like it was sat out there, and I'd spent all this money to mint it, and I was getting super
When
bummed
is
out
this?
because this was around around February last year.
2021.
2021, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so then after that sat for a while, he hit me up and was like, dude, there's this site Nuke that you gotta get in on, man. It's fucking this like punk site that's just weird as hell. There's no search function. You just dump stuff in there. You're not sure where anything exists, whatever. I'm like, this sounds right up my alley. So so I get in there and just start minting and going nuts and putting out like the weirdest shit, like the how to hold your baby, like the little 5G thing in the back where it's like just any of my shit that I thought was just, I'm like, let's just put this out there and get it out there. So that started picking up really quick because like it was just, I've described it as like a dive bar bathroom where all of us had just taken psychedelics and we're all collectively throwing up in the toilet and then that overflow was seeping onto the floor and like more and more collectors and artists were coming in either puking or lapping up the throw up of these like crazy psychedelics of this like soup that was being created inside this little world. And it was just like such an incredible, spontaneous, fucking weird time. You'd wake up and you're like, what's going on? I don't even know if I sold anything or not. Like I couldn't tell even if I was selling stuff, but I was just putting it out there. So then that's when Sky Gulpe found me and he's like, so he commissioned a physical piece for me and that I sent to him. And then like I started talking with him a bunch and man, he's like, as you know, one of the fucking raddest dudes to ever exist. He's the nicest
Shout out
dude.
to Sky.
Shout out to Sky, man. But so yeah, he kind of like helped me, figure stuff out a little bit better than just like spraying and like not being sure where anything was going or what I was doing or just anything. So that's kind of like the whole realm of it in that case. And then yeah, finally this year I got onto Super Rare because I went on this like I had this absurdist tweet storm that I would go. Thanks, dude. So like it was just hilarious, man. I was making these tweets every single day where it's like, oh man, another application video in. I just did a bunch of DMT. I'm giving a Segway tour of the Best Buy.
They were brilliant. Are they still on your page?
They're still on my page, yeah. So
yes,
like
everybody listening, go and go through his page and find them all. I think that you should actually compile them and like make a super rare piece of like all of your like somehow make a piece out of it.
Dude.
They were so good. You were doing them almost every day, weren't you? Or
I was, man.
For a while, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like it really started out as almost making fun of the application process. In all honesty, where I was just like,
yeah, exactly.
I was like, fuck this. Yeah. So like the
that's
one
why
that got
I loved it so much.
Yeah. So the one that got
everybody else was taking it seriously. Yeah, I thought like I think it was you I was talking to that was like you were saying I look at them on YouTube sometime because people upload them or something.
Yeah,
and it can be so sad sometimes.
Dude,
like people kind of begging.
Yes. Yeah. And that's someplace I never wanted to be is like, so I was just, so then the one that got me in was, I was just like, yeah, I just did DMT. I'm reenacting the divine secrets of the Yaya sisterhood, playing every part. And like, it was, and then like, Zach hit me up and was just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, you're in, let's go. So super thankful to be on it and that they accepted me after like just all that like craziness. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And here we are, man.
Cool. You've been on Super Rare for like a month or so. I'm heading to your page right now. Apologies for
no, it's all good.
Veering off into something else.
Yeah, it's been about a month, and like, dude, yeah, it's been cool, dude. Like, I've sold 2 pieces on there, and then I've got one up right now that's like this brutal. It's like the quintessential legalized ground beef piece. That is just like we were talking about, the suffocation, the feeling of just being dumped on and having indiscernible parts crammed down your throat and whatnot.
Is it this Our memories were beef too?
Yeah, that's right, dude.
This is a wonderful piece.
Thank you, man. Yeah, you got the Fuddruckers logo on there. You got the ICP butcher on that machine that's just grinding up all that shit. But it's
the
funny,
ICP butcher, yeah. I've never been to a Fuddruckers. What is a Fuddruckers? Is that one of these gaming and like wings places, or what is that?
So Fuddruckers is it pitches itself as a fast casual American restaurant. It's not they, they don't even have the peanuts on the floor, which is like the best part of any. I feel like of any restaurant in the Midwest, you have to have the peanuts on the floor for it to be
Dude,
official. You know,
I'm
like,
laughing so hard because you said that in a way like you were about to go into the instructional video for a new hire.
right.
You know, like, what did you
Welcome to
call it?
Fun
We are
Run.
the what? Oh,
We're the
the
quintessential fast casual American
what?
restaurant that
Fast casual. What the
yeah.
fuck is that? That's
I
amazing.
feel like it falls into that same realm of like Guy Fieri All American Restaurant, anything with bar and
Sure.
grill in the name, essentially, you know. But
God damn
yeah,
it.
yeah, just I find those restaurants just to be so like I find them to be so quintessentially again like American and Americana that like you know you're on a road trip or something and you see the Cracker Barrel sign and you know that there's just people in there consuming their weight in Denver omelets and like slobbering
Oh
all over the
God.
floor and like you know butt funneling syrup and like just fucking going nuts and it's just like this is fucking crazy, dude. Like
Dude,
how do these exist?
I have to admit, like, that shit is like, I don't want this to come out wrong because that's where I come from for sure. You know, like I come
Yeah, same.
from the urban sprawl of Applebee's and shit like
Yep.
that, where there was a time in my life where I didn't really understand, like, how do we put this, man? It's hard for us, like, country folk to say
Yeah.
these things sometimes in a way that don't make us sound like complete idiots. But like,
No,
you know,
no.
when you grow up in a place where there isn't
Like even
culture.
I feel yeah, I feel like
Well,
you're exactly right. It's the culturelessness. It's not even
yeah,
like the
so it's the
quality of the
culturelessness,
food. It's
and
just there's no
that's what
yeah.
I mean. I wanna say, like, it's the, like, you grow up in a place where you don't see the mom and pop restaurant that was started
Yes.
by, you know, whatever.
Yes.
What you see is Applebee's, so you don't even understand it exists. So there was a point
Yes.
in my life when I was like, you know, 17, 18 years old still, that I didn't get out of the rural area, like, for so many reasons, and realized that stuff existed. So there was a point in my life where I thought Applebee's was like a nice fucking restaurant, you
Yeah,
know?
right.
And I'm sure
Yeah, and
you
it's
did
yeah.
too. But now when I see your work and I see Applebee's in it, that's what it does to me. It makes me be like, I hate myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's almost like I love yeah. And I love what you said about the culturelessness of it because that really is what it is. And it's like I don't think that growing up we understood that or I didn't understand that there was just Applebee's everywhere and that it's indiscernible. Like I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, is this a restaurant that only I thought it was like a mom and pop shop in some ways until, you know, like a little bit older. And then I was like, oh fuck, these are everywhere. And it completely takes away any character that I thought my town had or anything. You know what I mean? Like you're like, holy shit, I could be in I could either be in Hammond, Indiana, I could be in Defiance, Ohio, I could be in, you know, like all these different places at once and they're literally interchangeable. They're the same fucking
Literally
place. They have the same
interchangeable
restaurant
by
name. Yeah.
design for a purpose. Yeah, absolutely. Here's an embarrassing thing that probably nobody listening to this knows is that I worked at Applebee's for a while.
Host
I was
or
a server. No,
server?
server. Full on server at the age of how old was I? 20?
How bad
19
were
or
the tips,
20?
man?
I couldn't legally drink yet. The tips weren't bad, man. I was young and didn't give a shit about anything. So, like,
I'm just surprised
I
people were
didn't
even
care.
tipping.
Yeah, no, this was
Yeah.
in Minnesota. Yeah, I was a
Oh, okay.
server.
Yeah.
I would get harassed all the time because it was still in the time where servers in Minnesota weren't supposed to have, you know, tattoos and shit even. So, like, I was
Oh,
all tatted up already. Like, I would
yeah.
get yelled at about my outfit all the time. But I was a fucking good server. I
Yeah.
was a career server up until quitting all of it to become a career artist or to be. I
Yeah.
was always a career artist, but once art sustained myself, I quit. But I was doing a server for 13 years up until then.
Damn, dude.
Um,
That's a long
and
time.
I was a super good server, but I am terrible at working for people. Like, anybody
Yeah.
telling me anything to do, I don't care what it is, I'm not going to want to do it. Like, I have this
Yeah.
worst mentality towards authority. So, like, it was always a struggle of a job, but then but the as far as interacting with customers went, I fucking crushed that shit. I could schmooze those middle-aged people right out of their money, man. Just like
Dude.
get them liquored up, you know.
Dude, you need to write like a memoir on that or something, man. I would be super interested. That's a long time to be working in that world. Like it would be, I'm sure the stories you heard and like the people you met there were
Have you ever worked in the
crazy.
service industry?
No, well, I worked as a bag boy at a golf course, and so equally,
awesome.
so equally, I was treated like shit. I mean, like all the members hated us, and like we would steal beers and get wasted and like destroy property, and I mean, it was pretty much Caddyshack, which was dope. But I think similar sentiment in terms of, well, I mean, it sounds like you were treated okay, but I mean, it's just like you're the shit in somebody's boot treads, you know, like
it's service industry. You're gonna like, you know, sometimes somebody is gonna be in a shitty mood. Like I got, you know, I got treated like shit a lot too, but yeah, man. Crazy, man, fucking job.
It's crazy. Well, I've been like considering, I've been kicking this around where like I almost want to, like, if I can ever get my art career to where I want it to be or something, like I think a really funny and like interesting thing to do would be to take a misery tourism and like just go on a Disney cruise for like a month and just like sit there in the saddest shit and like look at all the horrific stuff happening on there, and then just like have like 5 years worth of like writing content and like art content. I feel like it would be such an interesting experiment, but
I love that.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I could bear it, but it would be pretty hilarious.
No, man, you'd probably end up like enjoying it because you'd be like, this is such good content. Like this content, like for my, like this inspiration is so good, and you'd just be excited about the work. And the worse it got, the more excited you would be. You'd be like, yes,
yeah, it's like,
fuck yes.
Wow. Yeah, it's like, yeah, Goofy just passed out in the pool from heat stroke. This is insane.
Just like complete debauchery ensues. Yeah. You know, like, you know, okay, so like let's jump a little bit here too into complete debauchery of the NFT community. Let's focus on NFTs real quick, like the crypto art community. Just for a second, like who's some of your favorite artists out there in the scene right now doing it? I want to know. I want to know old school people who are doing it long time, and then also maybe some newcomers. And before we even start, I do just want to say, you know, RIP a lot of money. An OG in the crypto scene. His artwork has influenced, you know, everybody since him, basically. Yes. I know that we've both been in shows with him, both in Venice. Respect.
Absolutely, man. Well said. Very well said. Yeah, absolutely. Sad, super sad day, and a huge, just a monster loss for the world in general. You know, like it can't be said enough. For people,
but in his honor, because I mean, his work was fucked up. Like the piece that he had in Venice, or not in Venice, in Milan, Milan was like the head on a knife doing the whatever, and blood was spraying all over the place. I love that shit. So that's great lead in. There you go. Here's the let's have it.
It's perfect, man. Yeah. So like, I feel like a lot of the people that I'm into, like Pixel Fool is dope from the Pixel game. Like he's an OG hen artist where he was releasing stuff, all these like cool ass like little like worlds that were contained in these like exploding pixels that were doing stuff. Rat Cloak, we both know, is the fucking man. Rat Cloak, hope you're doing okay. I
actually heard from him this morning.
Okay, good.
He wrote me and he said, "Hey man, thanks for picking up ACAB, man, yada yada." He actually apologized, and I'm just like, dude, you're literally in Ukraine. What the fuck?
Yeah.
All good.
Yes. So for those of you who don't know, Rat Cloak is he's an incredible artist, but he's in Ukraine right now. So well wishes to him and his loved ones. Freaking crazy, man. I hope he's okay and everyone's okay. The Myth is another fucking rad dude. He's making all these weird ass banana people and like all this fucked up like Microsoft Paint stuff. Then like from like OGs and stuff, like I feel like I really resonate with obviously Sky Golpe. Sarah Zucker is freaking incredible. Like she was at the Milan thing too, and her work is so nostalgic. Like I'll get freaking brought back into her stuff and just literally feel like I'm sitting on a carpet as a kid watching like morning cartoons. So she's super rad. Matt Kane, his stuff is just like the Gazers project is blown me away. I'll look at those things every morning and just be like, these are freaking nuts, dude. Trying to think about who else. I mean, that's a
the Gazers project. The Gazers one is one that you actually, I think somebody on Twitter posted like whose work, blah blah blah, or something like, "What'd you buy?"
Oh, that was me. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you actually wrote like Jesse Draxler, yada yada, and then
Yes.
also so and so who does the, what did you call them?
Oh, the gazers. Yeah. So they're
The
like
gazers. Can you tell me what those are just real quick?
yeah, dude. So they're like so he programmed, I think there's 1,000 of them, but he programmed these freaking little these like super intricate um like visions of essentially constellations and moons and suns and in the sky, and it varies like every single day based on all these different scenarios and like when solar eclipses happen and when like lunar shit is happening. So like every day there's like these like weird micro transformations going on in these things. I don't own any of them, but
Wow.
I like look at these things and I'm like the freaking scale of that project is just like out of control. Like it's
Is
freaking nuts.
and is the visual then at the end generative based on the
Yes.
data?
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, that's right. It's generative. Yeah. And then obviously like I've been you know, I got to show love for Dmitry Cherniak as well, an OG generative dude. Like he him and I have bonded over some of like my fucked up drawings and like you know, obviously that's super iconic. Like the ringers and like I created like this nipple ringer series and this flesh ringer series is an ode to him. So massive big love to him as well. Yeah, there's so many in the space. I mean, it's impossible to list everyone, but I feel like those are a couple that I've just like I'm like, you know, pretty obsessed with.
Awesome. And you know, we had you in the RIP Hen show, which was, you know, a fake whale production at the Value Art Gallery in Switzerland. And you were a big part of that show. We had like 200 artists. That was
Yeah.
cool to see a lot of these artists all in one space,
Yeah.
doing a lot of cool shit. A really good variety. And like you said, there's so many good ones in the space. But I mean, just imagine we're like, I hate this. I hate every, like, I shouldn't say I hate, but like everyone's like, we're so early, we're so early. I'm just kind of sick of hearing that. So it's like,
Same.
but we are, in the sense that like you're already saying, oh, there's so many good ones in this space. Like
Yeah.
imagine in a year, imagine in 2 years when it's just like, you know, this is the new norm. And it's like, no, you know, it's going to be so
It's gonna
fascinating.
be nuts, dude. Yeah. It'll be
What do
cool.
you
Yeah, I
think
feel
about,
like
yeah, what do you think about the future? Like, what does the future of this space kind of hold for folks like us? And let's not talk about PFPs and crap like that. Like,
dude,
no,
fuck no.
no shade, no shade to PFPs of, you know, like,
No, no, yeah.
it a place for everything, but for
There
our
is,
sake,
yeah. Yeah,
where,
yeah.
yeah, oh, totally, dude. Like, dude, when I was, okay, when I was back in Wisconsin, I went through all my old shit and found all the pogs I used to have. You know, I'm a collector of shit. I don't give a
Dude,
fuck. Whatever. Collect your
and there
PFPs if you're into it. We
yeah,
got you. Whatever.
if you're a child and it has that childlike wonderment to it when you mint that thing and then you're waiting for it to hatch or whatever, it's like, yes, sir, you there's a certain like huge
Bro,
dopamine hit
back in
that
the day,
happens. Yeah,
I used to collect cards, sports cards, and you'd buy the packs and
exactly.
you wouldn't see what were within them, you know, and it would be an
Yes.
excitement of opening the pack. But anyways, we're
Yep.
gonna talk about what's the future of like of art in this
Yeah.
space.
Well, dude,
Because I'm
honestly,
just gonna
like
go
I
ahead and say
yeah,
it, like the PFP and stuff like that's a different world. That's not
it
art,
is.
and there needs to be a segregation for sure between within the NFT realm of to like what these NFTs are and what these NFTs are, because they're very different. Let's talk about
Yeah.
art. What's the future of art in this space? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, just
Well,
what do you think,
yeah,
dude?
yeah. Dude, it's funny you say that, man, because like the thing that I've seen consistently through the space is like the most rapid growth of like personal styles and personal art and shit. So like, you know, people I've been following
Mhm.
for 6 months or 7 months, the escalation of what they're able to produce and what they're able to put out there has grown so much. Like I'm like, is this even the same fucking artist? You know? So I think that by us looking at each other's art and being constantly impressed and constantly finding these new styles and mediums, like everyone's producing their own shit and we're all kind of becoming this one weird almost sentient being, you know, that I think that's where it goes, dude. Like we're going to continue to evolve and push the fucking limits. You know, like I think that by looking at how hard people are going and how insane the pieces are, I think it pushes you every day to that next piece you're going to make is going to be 10 times more insane than the last one. Like nobody's mailing shit in anymore. It's not like you're creating something just to, I mean, like specifically I think what we're talking about in like in like our world, we're not creating something for a buck. We're creating something because it's like it's super meaningful and it's something that we find impactful and very instrumental in our evolution as personal artists and the evolution of the space as a whole. So that's what I feel like is going to happen. I feel like the shit we're gonna be making in 10 years is going to be like nuts. Like I don't even know what it's gonna be, but that's what I'm thinking, man, you know?
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
as an artist myself, I already am feeling pushed and
Yeah.
pushed in the ways of like exploring new mediums, exploring new territory, exploring new means of creation to push, you know, my practice further, which is super exciting. And I do think that the medium of NFTs and this crypto art scene does propel it does it promotes that kind of exploration.
Yeah.
But I want to get to one more, like this other thing real quick too. But before I do that, like what do you think of, so like I love what you're saying there, but what do you think of as far as like artists being onboarded or artists from the traditional world coming into the digital, not the digital space, but the crypto space or doing
Yeah.
NFTs? And it's kind of an interesting question for you, being that it doesn't really sound like you were engaging with the traditional art scene before NFTs. So
No,
like,
dude.
that's
Yeah,
why I kind of want to ask, because it's a different perspective. A lot of the people that I ask that question to are traditional artists from the traditional art scene coming into NFTs, and I'm asked the question. But you, as somebody who really you're kind of a native crypto artist, would you say?
yeah, I would say
Like you
I would say
started
that's
out as an artist, as a crypto artist.
yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate. Although, like, so, well, I think it was not by choice. I would say, like, I was making like, I was making so much art, dude. Like, I would have so many watercolors and acrylic paintings and all this shit that I was making, and it was like, it was essentially getting to a point where our condo or the place we lived, the condo that we lived in Chicago, was freaking overflowing. So I just had to start giving it away. And at a certain point in the pandemic, that this was kind of a cool part of it, but like, I just said like I said, fuck it. Like, if you have art supplies and you drop it off at my place, I'll make you something, and then you can just have it. And so that was like this cool community thing where, like, again, like I love making art so much that I just didn't even care. I'm like, I don't need any money for it. I love the process. It's fine. So there's like probably, I would say there's probably like 500 pieces of art in Chicago that are just floating around in very random houses and shit. So then, but there was no
I love
success
that.
there, right? There was no success at all. It was like just, I mean, success to a point. Like, I mean, certainly, I think overall that helped me keep my sanity in many ways during like the height of isolation, the pandemic. It was something that I could like subscribe to and actually, you know, kind of have a sense of community that we had all lost and that we all really wanted. But in terms of yeah, coming from that world, yeah, I think that we talked about this, but the the most expensive physical piece I had sold, I think, was $150. So like, yeah, it's like I was not having any success there. So it's been like it's definitely been crazy. And I like what you were saying. I mean, I hope that yeah, I hope that people continue to look at this world and accept us with open arms, and that we do the same with artists that are trying to break through the spaces is you know traditional artists, because it's like yeah, as long as there's a genuine feeling there that you want to be part of something, I think it's cool for everybody to just accept it and go with it. You know what I mean? Like there's a different attitude if the person again is just like out there trying to make a buck and there's no real investment in like just yeah the community as a whole. But I don't know. That's kind of my thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. And but I'm just gonna say, like, because there's so much to say there, but like I just think it's awesome that like you kind of went straight into the NFTs. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Just head first, man.
well, yeah, because like for me, it was like, you know, over a decade of struggle through all kinds of bullshit to get, you know, yeah, just to maintain and make a living off of art, which I know
Yep.
I'm lucky to have done for as long as I was able to, but like this is what I've been waiting for all along. So it just is like cool to hear somebody who's just like, yeah, I just started here. This is what I know, you know, from the beginning.
Yeah,
Dude,
for
that's a
sure.
great sweatshirt.
Thanks, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
Bulls.
That's not a three-peat sweatshirt though, right? That's just the Bulls.
Yeah, this is just a straight up Bulls
Right on.
one. So I got it at a store because there was a big coffee stain on the sleeve. So it was like discounted to like $11, but I mean the coffee stain came out pretty quick, so I was like, fuck yeah,
Yeah.
why not, man? It's
Okay.
pretty dope.
Because normally those sweatshirts are like fucking hundreds of dollars. Those
Oh
vintage
yeah.
Bulls sweatshirts. Yeah. If you go to like
Oh
vintage
yeah.
shops in Chicago, like, yeah, those are hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. So I was pumped, dude. The
Um,
coffee stain saved me.
dude, my a homie of mine used to sell vintage, and he gave me a vintage sweatshirt of Jordan, like an actual Jordan vintage sweatshirt. That's
Yeah.
just the shit. I couldn't believe he just gave it to me. But we're getting sidetracked on bullshit, man. But that's my generation of like when I was a kid watching the 3P, watching Jordan, Pippen, Rodman. That was what's up.
Fuck yeah.
So NFTs, where were we?
No, I think just in terms of I'm super stoked about what it all holds, and I mean, dude, I think like people are always saying like, you know, it's a bubble or it's gonna bust or whatever, dude. It's like like you were telling me, and this was a really helpful reminder when I was talking to you, and I was just kind of like, you know, I don't know what's gonna happen. You're like, it doesn't really matter because you're an artist, and that's just that you're gonna always be making art, and you're always gonna be making shit. And I thought that was a really genuine and great statement by you, because I do believe that we're going to continue to be hopefully experience success and onboard more artists and continue to grow this community and shit. But I mean, like, even if something doesn't work out, it's like, I don't know, man, I feel so grateful to have met so many fucking cool people and like just
and it already worked out. That's how
it already worked. That's right. Yeah, you're right. It already worked.
We're doing
it's
that.
true.
Like,
yeah, for sure.
I don't want to get into this topic really, but they say like whatever, this is like some sort of bear market and we're, you know, low or whatever. But like what I can tell within my community, or like, you know, and I mean that in like the direct way of like the people that I associate with on an almost daily basis, collectors and artists and friends, we're all active. We're all doing more than we've ever done before. We're all working hard. We're all, you know, making a living, you know, to some degree, like doing decent for ourselves. And this is the low point in the market. So it's like, okay, all right.
Yeah, we'll be all right. Yeah.
Even if this is all, you know, but it's going to explode, and it's already happening. And I think, you know, one of these things that we're doing with FakeWhale is to like show traditional artists too, or not just traditional artists, but like to show everybody, like, it doesn't have to be about these memes and stuff all the time with this NFT culture. Like, there's a real culture here. And there's real substance here that transcends the medium, just like any art transcends the medium. So like, if you're having a closed-minded approach to something just because you don't like NFTs, so you're just blocking out, you know, I want to show and we want to show, like, nah, that's ridiculous. Like, you know, like, go on and look at this shit. It's fun and it's dope. And like, it doesn't matter if it's attached to cryptocurrency or if it's not. It would be cool either way. You know, and
for the most part, like the people I've met in this space, there's just no ego, dude. Like, or at least like, I don't know, like it's like people just like, and me included in this, obviously, you want to feel like you're a part of something, and like, you know, like, but the shit that people are posting, the art that people are posting, the writing, the poetry, all that shit, and like, there's just a funny, absurd shit. I just feel like we're just even. Again, like if we're like, I think we lose track of this where everyone's looking at the next thing, but we're in the middle of something that is just so beautiful, dude. Like, it's just the best thing in
like
the
right
world.
Now. It's dope. Like what is happening like today on like today, like it's dope.
Dude, right
like,
now,
like after right after this, I'm gonna go on and like explore Versa. I'm gonna explore Object, probably buy a couple of things, and that's gonna be it. Brad, like help some friends, say what's up to people. It's fucking rad. It's great.
Hell yeah.
We got a question from and I wonder if he's still with us listening or not, but Fabio, I think you've met Fabio Giampietro.
Oh, Fabio's the best, man.
He's wondering if you have any physicals around that you could grab and show us.
I do.
Do you have one? Grab a thing or two.
Let me bring it over there. So dude, this is one piece that I made. So it's still in wrapping because it's a hulking bastard, but this is a piece that I made for our old for when we moved here. It's just this like crazy like, it's just a kind of an absurdist piece. It's called Monster Orgy, and it's just all these monsters kind of fucking and dying. And
I love it. And you got the virus mask guy down there. Isn't that what that is? Like the beak thing?
He's got the plague doctor guy down there.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, the plague doctor thing.
And then here's the basement studio. So I think I'm going to include. I think I just decided today that I'm going to include this piece. It's called Family Barbecue with the with the ground beef piece that I have on Super right now. I'll probably just include this thing in it if anyone wants it. It's a big A1 feature and a bunch of fucking fly ridden human patties with
and you
a
got
bunch of
like
people.
fly on the teeth of that one there. These things
Yeah.
are gnarly, man. It's so you're saying that last one you're gonna give away, not give away, but will be included with the super rare piece?
Yeah, I was gonna tweet
Cool.
about it. I just finished it last
Right
night,
on.
and I was like, man, this would be a really good accompaniment to that. And then there's this one. This is a
Yeah, just
big
like an
one.
accompaniment.
Yeah. So this one's pretty dope. It's like a bigger scale one of this dude snorting up the adoration. So that's kind of
Yeah,
like
I'm loving this.
a theme that we've had. But yeah, those are a
What
couple.
is
And
so the medium on these is acrylic.
yeah, they're just canvas. It's like it's just canvases that I got on Amazon, and then like acrylic is essentially pretty much all I
And you're
do
really
on there.
gobbing it on there.
Oh, dude, it's dude, it is gobbed up, man. Those things are thick. Those things are they're
Yeah,
very,
that's what
very
I'm
thick.
saying.
Yeah. Oh man, well, yeah. Thanks, Fabio, and I should have included you, obviously, in the people that I mean, like, dude, watching that video. I don't know if you saw that video of Fabio making that cities VR piece where he's in there with that. I don't even know what tool it was, but he was like making these little buildings with this crazy oil painting tool, and I was just like, dude,
Oh,
what the fuck? It was
yeah,
nuts. Like
maniac.
one of the craziest things I'd ever seen. So shouts out to Fabio. I mean that it was like I'd never seen an artist work like that. It was like so meticulous and incredible. Yeah.
Did well, now I shouldn't even ask because I'm assuming maybe you did. Did you get to go to a studio when you were in Italy?
No, I meant to, and we didn't hook up because I was too hungover one day. I'd just gotten obliterated. And then, and he was like, "Yeah, man, like I don't even know if it's a good idea for you to be in a VR headset if you're just," because I was done, dude. Like I had drank like 50 beers the night before because my two pieces had just sold, so like I got rip shit drunk. Like
Congrats.
yeah, it was. Oh yeah, thank you, dude. Yeah, but it was a fun ass time. But I wish I would have gotten there. I got to get there at some point. But yeah.
Next time, yeah, I'm just asking because I was lucky enough to get to go over to Fabio's studio when I was in Milan this last November, and I
Dude,
got to see those works in person, and it is like, yeah, I was
it's
mesmerized. It was,
at that point, I
yeah.
don't even know if I don't even know if I consider like he's a world builder legitimately. Like I don't even know if he's an artist. He's literally a
Well,
world builder. Like
in
he's
more ways than
creating
one
these.
too.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
He
for
loves
sure. Yeah. Like
robots too.
yeah,
Did you
he's
know
dude.
that about him?
No,
Robots, like his place,
no,
he has a
no.
studio. He has the coolest studio. It's like multi-tiered in this weird way, in like a basement, and there's robots all over the place.
Man,
And
what? I gotta get there,
yeah,
dude.
it's weird. And
Sounds
then
like
in a
it.
good way, but like in this weird, like this dude actually really likes robots, you know?
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
cool.
fuck yeah. That
And
is
then you see
awesome.
his work and it's like, do the robots make this work? Because it is
Yeah.
so like
It-
perfect
So
and like
yeah.
delicate and precise and
Yep.
meticulous. And he has a very cool studio. He has a swing in his studio, like a swing
Cool.
that you swing on, like you sit on, you
Yeah.
know? And I'm like, this is awesome. But then he tells me about how it's like part of an art project that he did a while back where like you swung in the chair and like it somehow was recording information based off your swinging and stuff and translating
What?
information into some. Yeah,
Whoa.
exactly. What?
What?
Yeah. Anyways, shout out to Fabio.
Yeah,
He's a
for sure.
genius. He's a
Yeah.
maniac. We love him.
Unbelievable.
Um, what else, man?
Yeah.
We have so much to talk about. That's why I say what else. But like, I really wanted to get into some music with you too, because me and you talk and have been talking. I think maybe almost for like 8, 9 months. I would say
Yeah.
on the side, casually, just friendly talk because we have some things in common. And one of those things is music. You've brought up Gate Creeper
Yeah.
before, which is a kind of, it's not a deep cut, but it's a deeper cut of a band. I love that
Yeah.
first album,
Yeah.
Sonarian
Sonorum
Deprivation.
Depravum. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Deprivate, right? Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
desert. They're from Arizona. It's an Arizona
Yeah.
band, and that's the desert that they live in, this Sonarian desert or whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Well, you should
But
share. I feel like you should
well, this
throw
morning,
your Oh, go ahead.
this morning you sent as a wake up. The first thing I see when I wake up this morning, I open up my phone and it's WhatsApp Mark on the group chat, and he sends a Bond Ripper album, which is another awesome deep stoner metal cut. And you know
Yeah.
what? I actually did. I just hit play immediately and made my
Dude,
coffee with it playing on my phone. It was great. So like,
it's
definitely like metal. And you said you were going to go to an I Hate God concert coming up.
yeah.
So we got sludge metal, New Orleans.
Yep.
Let's start out. What's your background with music? Like, where does your appreciation of music come from? Like, because it seems
Yeah.
like you have a deeper than average appreciation of music.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny, man. Like, I don't really know exactly where, like, metal. I think my first metal show was I think it was Sleep. I saw them,
Wow.
and my buddy was just like, "Dude, this band is sick." I don't know I have an extra ticket or something. We saw them, and then the first song they busted out was "Dope Smoker," and they played it all the way through, which was like, and it's like a whatever 57-minute song or something. And I'm just sitting in the audience like, what is going on? This is nuts, dude. So I became instantly obsessed with just that like super rhythmic just ability to just maintain those huge riffs and just blow everyone's ears out. And it was like a whole new perspective on the metal genre because everyone there was just hanging out. Like there was no mosh pit. It was just like people were just sitting there, and I'm just like, this is rad, dude. Just people like
Yeah, so
stoned out of
like,
their minds sitting there. Yeah.
yeah, they stoner metal, they call it, right? Like you're talking,
Yeah.
Sleep is, you know, stoner, quintessential stoner metal. You sent
Yes.
on Ripper this morning. I mean,
Yeah.
I Hate God could even, you know,
I
kind
think
of be
so. Yeah.
stoner.
Sludgy stoner.
Um,
Yeah.
but well, Sleep
But
and Bond Ripper lean into it, where they're like, every
oh
title
yeah.
is about weed and shit like
Yeah.
that, which
Yeah.
is so
Yeah.
fun and funny and too, and like there's such an interesting dynamic between a metalhead who's traditionally seen as a like a brute, right? A
Yep.
primitive brute
Like
man.
nails and like
Yeah, but then mixed with like this in it, it's not a new thing, but metal has always been associated with weed, like metalheads love weed. I don't,
for sure.
what is that?
Yep.
Because weed is such a peaceful drug. It's like it's a mild psychedelic in that way, etc. So like I always thought that dynamic was super interesting, like you know, seeing like big weed leaves on old 80s not
Agreed.
90s metal shirts and stuff was always
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
huh. It would be like, we're gonna kick your ass, and then weed
Yeah,
leaf,
but
you know,
yeah,
like stomp
just
on your
smoking
fucking
blunts.
face, motherfucker, and then a weed
Yeah, yeah.
leaf.
I agree. That is a really interesting dynamic. Yeah, it's like yeah, I love I guess I really love that the duality of that like thing. Yeah, because it's like and then it's cool because it's a very accepting similarly to the NFT community, bring it back almost. It's a super accepting crowd, man. Like you go to a metal show and like if you don't feel like being in the pit or whatever, you can chill outside and just hang out and like listen to the music. Nobody fucks with you. It's just like, yeah, that's that guy. He's outside of the pit. He's not getting fucked with. He's just drinking his beer and listening to music, and like everyone is actually really chill. Like even after the pit's done or you're outside smoking a cigarette or something, everyone's just hanging out and they're really really nice. Like it's not like people have that perception, and there probably is many of people similarly like this, but I think in recent years because it's gotten a little bit more like almost mainstream, I would say it's like it's gotten into like I feel like people who aren't just brutes like you were saying. It's like people who just enjoy the music and who enjoy like there's a certain intelligence and like really difficult way that they're playing these instruments and the melodies they're creating that are almost pop like in some ways, like in terms of how like catchy they are and repetitive and stuff. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I, yeah, the exclusivity of the metal scene, and it's not even exclusivity, it's like the perception of exclusivity, I guess, in the metal scene, where it's like, oh, it's just brutes. I think
Yeah,
has long been misunderstood. But like you said, of course, there's always, a
yeah, there's always a
shithead, but there's a
douche.
shithead
Yeah,
in every crowd of every
yes,
single thing.
yeah.
Maybe
You
they
don't think
just were
yeah,
louder in metal or something, in the metal community. But like my entire life, well, at least my entire adult life, I've been, going to metal shows and stuff, and I've had the same experience. Everybody's super accepting, and I think it's a lot because like a lot of it is you listen to metal because you were an outcast, so it is
yeah,
an
yep,
entire crowd of outcasts. I think
yeah,
NFTs are similar in that way, where it's like a lot of people that were
yeah,
in NFTs were outcasts too before, and
yeah,
then made their own scene that's now blowing up or whatever. But metal is becoming more accepted into mainstream culture. There's definitely a dissolution of boundaries between genres of music happening with new generations and new music coming out, that I
yeah,
love for sure. But people subverting the language of metal and a lot of the tropes of metal into modern structures of pop or electronic
yeah, yeah.
music and different things, I find super super entertaining. I like it. A lot of people don't. I'm here for it
I'm
though. I
cool
think
with
it's
it.
dope. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and like I, it's funny, man. Like I, like I don't. like I'll enjoy a good pop song for sure. Like I don't give a fuck who it is, you know. Like if whoever's making music, like I'm trying to think about somebody like if like Sia or like there's like a Sia song
Bro,
that I really love or something. Called like she
yeah.
has this song Elastic Heart that I'll just blast and it's like oh, I've got thick skin and an elastic heart, and I'm like this is dope music. It's like this huge sound
Right,
wall.
right.
So yeah, I don't know. Like I don't yeah, it's I think we're in the same boat where it's like I don't give a fuck who it is.
Yeah.
If it sounds good, it's good. Like I'm cool with
Well,
it. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Like that's the point. I think it took some maturity on my part to get to the point of just like the acceptance of anything done well. I'm willing to listen to and I'll
Yeah.
respect. But
Yeah, yeah.
like to your point, um, I don't think I'm supposed to say this yet, but I'm going to because I don't fucking care really. But like, I just did an illustration for the New York Times of Lord. It will be coming out
What?
next week. Yeah, well,
Dude.
well, they're a client of mine for a minute. I've been doing
Holy
illustrations for them
fuck.
for years. But for the music issue coming up, man, I'm really wondering if I'm just giving.
Whatever. Fuck
I
it.
didn't sign an NDA. Fuck them. But
Yeah.
just kidding. But of Lord, and to really get in the mindset of doing the illustration, I went out and bought her latest album on vinyl.
Dude,
And I
it's
mean,
so sick.
she's as pop as they come. And
It's
I got obsessed, bro. Like, not
yeah,
even just like this is dope. I listened to it going run. I was singing along, I'm
yeah.
pretty sure, while running. I'm like,
Dude,
this
she's on
album
another
is
level.
fantastic. I love
Yeah.
Grimes. I love fucking Washed
Yeah,
Out. I
Grimes
guess
is
that's more of like electronic pop, but
yeah,
that's
yeah.
pop as fuck. Um,
Yeah. Well, it's
um,
funny, dude. I fall into that dreaded territory where a lot of people are gonna give me shit for this, but dude,
Yeah,
I'm a
here we go.
huge
We're just fucking ourselves now. We've gone too long.
yeah, just blowing it all out. But I'm a huge dude. People will give me shit all the time, but I'm a fish fan too, man. Like I fucking love
Of what?
fish,
Oh,
fish.
yeah. You went
Like
too far,
just
actually. I didn't know we were.
dude. So like I'll
No,
sit
I'm
there.
just
They're
kidding.
because similar to metal, like
Fish,
dude,
bro.
they'll just right they'll just sit there and hammer out like a 70-minute song, and then like that's another crowd where like you'll go to those shows and people are like, I remember I went there and I was having a bad trip and I was like going all fucking nuts and I was just like laying in the sun and this person saw me laying out there and they're like, "Hey, are you all right, bro?" And I'm just like, "Oh man, I'm not feeling good." And they pulled me under the shade and they were like giving me water and they're like, "All right, here's some water, have a grilled cheese, just hang out, you'll be okay, man, you know." And I was just like, dude, this is like a really like beautiful kind of moment in that community, you know, like where they're just taking care of somebody who they thought was in trouble. And like I found that I don't know if that would happen at like a fucking stupid ass Mumford and Sons show or
Hmm.
something, you know, like I
Hmm.
don't know. I found that was like a pretty cool moment. So yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
In no shade, man. Like I'm joking around. I mean,
Oh,
there was
I
a
know.
moment I'll just go and get there with you in that I bought a Trey Anastasio CD at one point in my
Oh,
life. So
the
like,
solo stuff.
yeah, yeah, the solo stuff. Yep.
That's next
So
level.
and I'm pretty sure I played disc golf. So
Dude, I loved it. Well, because disc golf was just essentially an excuse to get high. Like, it was just like we're going out to the forest to throw
yeah.
these things around, and if a bong shows up, then oh, you'll like take some
Yeah,
rips and
right.
stuff. I feel like I only
Yeah.
like have you go out there to play, and it would be like you play one hole, and then you just sit on a picnic table and do bong loads the rest of the time.
It was exactly what it was for.
Yeah,
It felt like
yeah.
good excuse to go sit in the woods. What are
Oh
some
yeah,
other
for sure.
what's some other of your like favorite bands in general? Like I didn't mean to just zone in on metal, but that we
No,
have that
no.
in common. I know, but like I would love to hear just like in general, like when you're working in the studio, let's bring it to art and be like, what inspires you? Like what music inspires you? Because I'm heavily inspired by art, and as everybody knows, I think, but
Yeah,
or inspired by music in with my
yeah.
art. And so, where's that for you?
Yeah, so I'm a huge Frightened Rabbit fan. I don't know if you heard of them, but
No.
they're the Scottish band. The lead singer, unfortunately, yeah, he's dead at this point. Like I forget what happened. It was a tragic scenario a couple of years ago. But their album, The Midnight Organ Fight, is like one of my top 5 albums ever made. I really love Panda Bear, that guy from the spinoff from
Mm,
Animal Collective. That
mhm,
think that his album Person Pitch was incredible. And then, dude, from the female side of things, like, man, I fucking love, dude. Phoebe Bridgers is insane. Like, I gotta say, like,
mhm,
the her writing style and her prose that tells such a story in her songs, I find so insanely inspirational and awesome. And then, um, Dude, honestly, it's hilarious. You'll dig this being a California guy. Lana Del Rey, I have this really odd obsession with because she's this like weird vessel of like she was originally like pitched as this weird vessel of like counterculture, almost emptiness, right? She was kind of pitched as this like almost like corpse like figure that was just being like propelled along by industry executives, and like it just was this weird thing, she had this weird SNL performance. It was very bizarre and very peculiar, but then like in that emptiness I found there was like some really kind of just like beautiful things in there. Like she's like this thing she's singing about, and I think she's grown a lot as a lyricist, and like her last album was actually pretty fucking bad on there. So she's pretty solid. I mean, yeah, I'm a fan.
I know that she's an artist that has gained more and more respect within a more what's the word I'm looking for? But yeah, like, so beginning vapid, etc. But like you see her gaining more and more cred with like the like indie crowd, I guess, for lack of a better term, or like you see it, like once, well, not once, but like Pitchfork is covering her albums and giving them this, high ratings
two
along
stars,
with
whatever,
with the, or low or whatever, but like along with the indie shit and stuff. So it's like she's in there with that stuff. But I have to admit, I've never, like, I think I hear sounds. What I always say is like I've heard it all, but like I couldn't tell you a Lana Del Rey song, but I probably heard it in a store once. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure I have. And especially I think that album you're talking about. But
man,
I respect that. I respect that.
Yeah. Dude, well, I was gonna ask you. So one thing that I was thinking about, just like as we were talking, and it's funny, like kind of again, bringing it back to the NFT space, is like when you're explaining what you do in to people who aren't in the space, do you always preface it with saying you're probably gonna roll your eyes? Because like that's where I'm at right now, and I feel like that's where like a lot of people perceive it. Like when I'm talking to my friends or when I'm talking to my family or anything like that, I'll have to preface what I'm about to say, like with, "Hey, I got into." You're probably gonna roll your eyes, but I got into super rare, or you're probably gonna roll your eyes, but this is. Do you preface it with that still, or do you just own it and say like, "Yeah, I do fucking NFTs, like fuck off."
Well, family is a different story completely, because my dad has been into crypto for a minute and like has a lot, like his whole 401k invested in crypto and shit like that.
Yeah,
so,
wow,
like,
fuck yeah, cool.
So like when NFTs came around, he was like, "Hey Jess, have you fucking started making NFTs yet?" And like he was bugging me before I even did it to do it. And I would have to be like, "Dad, I have a plan." Like my buddy, because again, Sky Golpe, he is the one that brought me into the community and got me onto super rare, etc., and put me in a show right away. And I owe him a lot. But we had a plan for how I was going to roll out, kind of. And my dad would be like, "Hey, like, have you minted yet? Have you done?" He wouldn't say minted. He didn't know that much, but he would say like, "Jess, NFTs," and I'll be like, "Yeah, we're almost there." But now he's just, over the moon about it. And over the holidays, I spent, I have a cabin nearby his cabin that I spend a lot of time at, and I was there for like a month over the holidays. And I mean, every day I think we would talk about crypto, NFTs, what's happening. So with the family, it's different. As far as friends and stuff, I own it now. I don't like. I'm to a point now, I guess, where I'm approaching a year within the community, and I'm already to the point of the old world is dead to me. If you're in the old world and you're just like, "Oh, you do NFTs? What the fuck?" I'm like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, you're the idiot. What the fuck? You don't know what NFTs are? You aren't? Fuck off." Or like you want to talk shit, or if you want to, and I have actually, I don't want to say lost people from my life, but like I was working with a gallerist and like in a gallery, and like it didn't, in the end, like I wish the best, all that, no hard feelings, but like they really didn't like NFTs, and it was an issue, and like, and to me, if anybody doesn't want to at least be able to see it from my perspective of somebody who has been working within the industry for a decade, and now this thing comes along that's allowing me to have any freedom finally, and then you're going to talk shit on that. It's just what the fuck? Like, I don't have patience for it anymore. At first I was like, what you're saying, like a little iffy about it, but now it's just like, if you're going to hate on the thing that is providing me with like my best life or like living better or being happy at all, you know, with feeling fulfilled by my career and my art at all. If you're going to hate on that, you can just, you can click the unfollow button, you can walk out the door, you can, you know, whatever it is that you need to do. But like, I ain't got time for it. I ain't here to, you know, I ain't here for that. So no,
and when you've
I
seen
just, I own it.
and when you've seen, and when you've seen the positive impact for so many others too, where it's just like, like,
Yeah.
you know, you always hear that thing, it's a scam or whatever, but then you're like, well, then how is this like providing so much joy? Not even monetary, you know, certainly monetary in a lot of ways, but how can it be a scam and when something is providing so much genuine joy for people in life that, like, you know, that like have trouble finding it sometimes, me included, you know, like, so
yeah.
That's crazy,
I mean,
dude.
Me personally, I was to a point with doing commission work and working for clients and fulfilling other people's vision for getting very little in return and not getting the sense of fulfillment from my own work that I wanted for so long, you know, like that for something to come along and change that is just the most wonderful thing that's ever, I mean, I want to say it's like the best thing that's ever happened in my whole life,
dude.
Like almost, you know, and so yeah, really, it's I just anybody who wants to hate on that is, I mean, they're just a hater, like, right? Something's going on. They're jealous, they're ignorant. They don't understand, and I don't mean ignorant. It's like, oh, you're fucking ignorant. I mean, just mean like they truly don't understand. They're truly not educated on what the actual thing that's going on and what we're actually doing is. You know, they're getting some other thing. No shit. Now I'm alone. Mark? Sorry, everybody. If I'm still live, I don't know if everybody can see me or not, but we have lost Mark. He has said, yeah, it kicked me out. Fuck. Let's see if we can get him back in here. Sit tight. He's backstage. If anybody has any questions, oh shit, you can write in the comments here, but we got Mikey responding with the sleep t-shirt. Fuck yeah, dude. The Dope Smokers t-shirt. And
oh shit, am I back?
You are, dude. I'm actually just looking at the comments here on Twitter. I don't know if you're seeing, but we got Mikey here, another friend of Rat Cloak. He posted that he's got a Dope Smoker t-shirt on right now.
Dude, fuck yeah, that is awesome.
That is tight, right? And Isolationist, what up, dude? He's a fan as well. Rad. Yeah, he said he bought a CD. Yeah. Shout out to Isolationist. Thanks for joining us, guys, or thanks for commenting on these. Love that shirt, Mikey.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. So I don't know. We might have to cut this soon. I don't know what's going on. It keeps on like trying to kick me out.
Okay.
But I mean, either way, yeah. So I guess it might just be a good time to actually just if technology is gonna end this thing, it's all good. But yeah, man. I mean, like overall,
we'll abide by the nature of our technological masters.
Right. Forcing us to.
Yeah, but I mean, I think we were at a good spot to end. You know, where we're.
I think so too, man. Yeah, I wanted to just say thank you so much for talking to me, dude. Like, you're one of my favorite artists in the space as well, and like, it's a real honor to be a part of this Fake Whale like, you know, team, the movement itself, like it's gonna be so fucking rad. Like the vault, I know there's a lot of mystery behind it all, but it's just like it's something that nobody's really doing, so it's gonna be really fucking rad, and I'm so stoked to
Yeah.
be a part of it. So I just wanted to put
Yeah,
that
for
out there and say
everybody.
thank you.
Yeah, for sure. For everybody who doesn't, know much about Fake Whale yet, or is completely new to this and haven't been following along yet, definitely visit. It's Fake Whale, just like it sounds. FakeWhale.xyz is the platform for Fake Whale. We have Diewiththemostlikes already minted a piece into our vault, a 1 of 1 original Diewiththemostlikes. Not for sale. There's nothing for sale there.
No, yeah.
But there are links to where Mark does have some pieces for sale on Superware and other platforms. Definitely check those out. His work is only going to become more and more valuable and scarce as he becomes more and more in demand, because I know like you're in the show coming up in Venice during the Venice Biennale, right? And
Yeah.
I think I
Yeah.
just saw yesterday that you're part of a pretty impressive lineup of artists at what was the other one? Can you?
Yeah, there's a big Milan LED display happening with a bunch of cool ass artists that, yeah, I'm like I can't believe I'm even in that list of people. Like there's so many dope artists in there. So
It's
yeah,
like Art
I'm
Innovation,
so
it's called, right? Is the
Art
name of the
Innovation, that's
company?
right.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and I saw like
Yeah.
Sky Golpe was on there too, and a bunch of
Yeah,
big names. So that's really cool. What else do you have planned? Like
man.
what else is coming up?
Yeah, mostly focusing on those things. I guess just continuing to put work in on the legalized ground beef movement. Gotta keep boots on the ground for that thing. Um, otherwise,
Boots on
just yeah, just otherwise just doing my shit, dude. You know, I'm just so pumped to be here and so happy to be able to talk and um chill with so many cool ass people. So that's pretty much it. Probably I have a book coming out in May called Sparsely Attended Funerals with this cool UK press that's really this like super indie UK press. And it's going to be brutal. It's like 80,000 words. One of the stories is about an election being decided by glory hole. So like whoever accumulates enough like spawn coming out of either of the glory hole wins the election. So it's this like fucked up look at like yeah, like just the like kind of
Truly
helplessness we all
depraved,
feel when
bro.
we go to this.
Truly depraved.
Yeah, sad,
Your
very sad and
mind.
depraved. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I meant to bring this up earlier. I hope I'm not keeping you or anything. Seems like
No,
we have a
no,
fine
yeah,
connection. But
yeah.
have you ever heard of the comic book? I like comic books. There's a comic called Crossed that's written by
No,
Garth
I haven't.
Ennis. Have you heard of this?
No.
No, it's about it's basically kind of like The Walking Dead, but instead of everybody being zombies, everybody catches something or whatever where they become the most unhinged, depraved versions of themselves. So like it's instead of zombies running around, it's like hordes of truly unhinged, primitive people doing just like I don't even want to say some of the stuff. It's so
Yeah.
disgusting. It's the most brutal
I need to
shit.
I need to get into it, dude.
Like in every way too, in like the gore and in just like they go places with it where you wouldn't dare to say that, so
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm reading it right now
Fuck
because it's
yeah.
actually written really well. Garth Ennis is a wonderful author,
Cool.
but it reminds me of your work in the way that it is just like this truly depraved, like I'm gonna ask you a little bit more about your art because like to be in the headspace of your piece. Okay, so sometimes when I'm looking at your work for too long, I get uncomfortable. Like, and I don't mean that in a bad
Fuck yeah.
way. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
no,
just
for sure.
uncomfortable. But making it, how do you spend so much time with something so disgusting? Like, do you view it more like in this beautiful way? And like, do you see something else in
I
it? Or like, because you're spending a lot of
yeah.
time in a real fucked up place.
Yeah. Dude, that's a great question, and like, it's weird because, especially like for that book that I have coming out, like I'll say this that I felt like I dabbled too long in that space. Like it was written at the height of isolation, during the pandemic, so I was living in this very kind of fucked up place in my mind where like essentially I preferred to live within the words on the page versus like you know the way that I was currently living in total isolation and not able to like talk to anybody or do anything. So I would say like that like bordered on being too much on that time. But otherwise, I think the way that I look at it is I'm almost like laughing when I'm making these pieces because I think like we talked about before, I think there's a certain beauty and humor to it all, and I think that without that, it would be very difficult to exist in that world and to constantly go in that place. But I think because I'm looking at this as like an escalation of humanity or like our collective descent into madness, and I find that there's comedy in that. I almost am making these pieces with the light of laughter and like just that. So like when I'm making these things, I'm actually quite happy making them because like existing in that world that I'm creating just like it makes me crack up in some ways. Like, somebody like beating off at Cracker Barrel or like, a fuckable Yankee Candle or, the piece I made for Fake Whale, like people buying a used mattress at Mattress Firm where there's like
Yeah,
people
talk about
face
that, will
sitting
you?
there and
Let's
stuff. Yeah.
let's fill us in on the piece on fake whale just real quick.
Yeah, for sure. So that one was made. So I really am honing in right now on this existence where our past is just as shitty as our future, or our future is just as shitty as our past. So people who are wearing these VR rigs, but then just doing these like terrible things, where or like things that they still do now. Like so, you're at Mattress Firm just laying on a mattress, but you're wearing a VR set, so it makes it somehow bearable, and like that's the future that we look at, and it's like, no, it's still unbearable. Like you're still doing unbearable shit 24/7. Now you're just numb to it because you're playing Candy Crush, like Jar Jar Binks Saga or whatever the fuck game you're playing. So like that's where I've been exploring a lot, where like we're still existing in the super mundane, super strip mall-y type culture, but then it's skewed with a technology forward
Mhm.
point of view. So those people are ecstatic and in these like super, unheralded places of joy, but in actuality, it's quite bleak. They're sitting on a dirty mattress face sitting. So that's like where I kind of come from on there.
And I'm looking at the piece right now. I love the affliction T-shirt there too. Is a nice touch. But but yeah, I get what you're saying. It's like this kind of like same as it ever was type idea.
Yeah,
Right. It's like right now is the same as it was, 100 years ago. It's just we have
it's
different lenses and perspectives now, but it is just the same. Like we just have different ways of interacting with the world,
yeah.
technology and et cetera. In the future, we'll just, the same shitty, meaningless existence will persist.
Yeah.
We'll just have better tech for it. Like,
Exactly,
well,
yeah.
and it's
And it
like
could,
what you're saying.
yeah.
What you're saying too is that statistic, which I don't have the statistic, but I remember reading lots of stuff about like with all this advancement in technology and this what they consider or what they or what we as society consider progress. If we're making so much progress, why are we no happier than we were 100 years ago?
Dude,
Like what is
that's the
progress then?
question.
What are we defining as progress really? Like if
Yeah. Yeah, and I
you
feel like
know
that yeah, and I totally got you, and it does, it fuels our rabid consumption, so that's another
yeah.
obviously point of this stuff, of my pieces, where it's just this rabid, unchecked consumption, just being spoon-fed into our agape mouths that we don't even know we're eating anymore, and then we're barely digesting it and shitting it back out. I mean, I just that's like that's what it's all about, and it's funny, when I was looking at your newest piece, which, you obviously haven't shared with a ton of people, but the more I looked at it, to give people some perspective, there's this crazy background to it, that has this suggestive feel of total consumption. And when I was thinking about it, I don't know if you have a name for it yet, but I was thinking about the term insect agony, for that piece, because
You
it was
just
like
named
the
it. You just named it. There,
yeah.
it's done. Fuck it. Right there. Real
Nice.
live. You heard it here first.
Fuck yeah.
Insect agony, I believe, is the name.
Insect agony.
Insect.
Yep.
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 There you go. You heard
So
it
it's
here
like,
first.
yeah, because I looked at it and it's like you look at us in a certain way where we're just we're no different, we're piling into a carry-on corpse on the side of the road and taking what we can to make ourselves happy for that moment or for that, tiny bit, or feel satisfied for a second, but we're still just consuming that diseased meat. It still is laying on the side of the road. It's this rabid swarm. So that's what I felt when I saw that piece that you showed
Rabid
me. What
swarm.
Yeah, so it was like this, like it was just this feeding frenzy, and everyone was just fucking and feeding, and this orgy of just like sickening, what exchange of fluids. But so that's what I saw, and that's what I feel like, in a lot of ways, how our pieces kind of are totally two different styles, but they both have
Yeah.
that feeling to them. I think that I really
I was just
that
gonna
I
say
have the vibe
something
is drawn to.
similar. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off. I
no,
was
it's
just
all
going
you
to say
know.
something similar, that like I have a couple pieces on super rare feed, and then there's feed spelled with 3s or whatever, but both of them are like wires connected directly to, you know, a face. And that's kind of the idea of like, you know, the wordplay of feed being like the feed on your screen of a, you know, a social feed or whatever, but then also like feed. So it's just like, yeah, you're just plugged the fuck in consuming, like, and it's just being, but it's like this forced consumption, like when that's what you're showing. And especially with your latest piece on super rare, I mean, we're seeing the actual forced consumption right there. It's coming out of the fucking machine, and it's being shoved into a mouth on that super rare piece. I want to touch on this one though, quick again, on the fake whale one though, because you're bringing in an interesting style, and this is, you know, not about the content really, but more about the style of these ghost figures where there's just like the outlines. And so you're really doing a really cool job doing this really two-dimensional like style where it's really flat, but you're getting a lot of distance in it, and you're getting depth. You're getting the depth of it in the environment, and you're achieving it in a very interesting way. Where did you come up with that? Or like, was that kind of just, were you kind of like drawing all the outlines and you planned on filling them in at some point, and then you're like, wait, that actually does a really nice job? And then also too, all these are holding cameras in this one, so it's like there's this kind of voyeurism, and also there's a voyeurism, and there's also a like a surveillance kind of aspect to that.
Dude, it's funny that kind of stylistic choice just happened in the last super rare piece that sold. So Inhalation of Failed Dreams, and it's these two guys that are IHOP Express scratching lottery tickets, and one of the guys sniffing the dusting of the scratch off ticket thing.
God, that's
brilliant.
So like that's brilliant.
It's like a really, really sad take. But then I wanted to add something in there that was like that was like a, what's the word for it? Like a spiritual force that was dictating what those two people should be doing, you know, like, and it could be anything. Like it could be, you know, the whisper of alcoholism, or it could be, you know, a divine spirit, or, you know, something is driving these two people to sit at a fucking IHOP Express and scratch lottery tickets and sniff the excess, and you're not really sure what. So then I kind of manifested those things as, you know, ghost-like figures that were dictating these people's lives to them that they didn't really have any control over. And so I kind of have been gripping, or have been grasping onto that style quite a bit, and really kind of dwelling on that lack of control, and just feeling like you're being like vaguely existing and just pushed through life, you know?
I think it's really coming through, honestly. Like, I think
Thanks,
that's
dude.
where you get, I mean, they're like ghosts, you know, they're like that.
Yeah,
They're
for
just
sure.
hollow
Yeah.
figure. They're just like hollow figures, kind of like non-playable characters or something, you know, like my friend uses that term all the time, non-playable characters.
I like
you
that.
know,
I like that.
Yeah, well, in life, you know, it's like if you're, you know, playing a game, like who would be the main characters, then who would be like the ones that are just like you cross on the sidewalk, that's the AI. Or whatever, you know, like if we're in a simulation, you like whatever, those kind of thoughts, you know. I think there's movies about that now, right? Whatever, the Matrix and shit. But anyways, I think that is a wonderful place to wrap this up, where we went over hour and a half already, so I'm sure people are you're getting tired. I don't want to take up too much of your time or anything, but this was fucking awesome, man. Is there anything else you would like to say, or anything you want people to know about you or about your work, or anything?
No, you covered it, man. I want to just say again, thank you so much for your time and Fake Whale, and the whole thing we're doing here. It's really fucking cool, and thank you anyone who listened, or who just like reads my poetry or books, or you know, enjoys my art in any capacity, or hates my art in any capacity. Also appreciate you, like anybody who's having a reaction to it. It's all good.
Important. Your book is also the one that I showed here is already available on Amazon. If you're looking for it, it's on Amazon. An eye for an eye, and your other eye, and the rest of your family, which is just, I mean, so fucking funny. And you even did the design in like that, you know, like a Dan Brown cover. Right? Isn't he the guy that wrote? Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, it's mimicked like that. So it's fucking funny. But yeah, man, thank you so much again. And again,
thank you, brother.
if people want to go check out pieces, hit my Twitter or wherever, or Fake Whale has it too. So again, thank you so much, dude. You're one of my
Yeah,
favorite
and
artists, and thank you everyone for listening in.
dude, you're definitely one of my favorite artists in this space. I can't wait for everything that you do. You know, like I'm always, you know, excited every time you do something new, and I'm excited for everything coming up that we're in shows together. I want to say also, like, make sure everybody goes and checks out Mark's mint on fakewhale.xyz. Check out the links to his pages for, you know, Hen and Super Rare Now Foundation. Wonderful work on all of those platforms from you. And more to come next week on Fake Whale. I know we have Walk coming up, WOC. So stay tuned for all that. He's another rad artist. So we'll be jumping on that. But in the meantime, check out all the links we have for Diewiththemostlikes, fakewhale.xyz.
Fuck yeah, love you guys. Cheers. Later on.
Peace.